What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. You know, today's video, you're probably like, what the? Because I was kind of like, what the? I'm driving down the road. This is the second time that I had seen this individual. He's out there trying to get a jump. Unfortunately for him, he was probably just, copping, trying to get some dope. Went to jump in his truck wouldn't start, and all of a sudden, I'm driving down the road, right? And he yells something and I hear him. I'm like, I put the car in reverse. I said, what's up, bro? He's like, man, I want to talk to you, man. So I get out of my car. We have a conversation for about an hour and a half. He says he'd like to do an interview later that night. So that's what we do. But this is the thing, man. You can't say, yo, man, I'm living this life and I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to do that. And you're preaching to other people and telling them, hey, man, do the right thing. And you're not all the way there yet, right? So, man, yesterday was some closure for your boy, man. And maybe it helped me heal a little bit. And you know what? It felt like, I know this is crazy, man, because I never really felt like this. I felt like a weight was lifted off my chest, man. And this is how things work, man. This is what it's like over there. And, after my trial, he had told me that the government actually sent him a Visa card with $300, man. It was a $300 Visa card. That's what he got. But go ahead and listen to the interview, man. And you know what, man? It's about growth. It's about development, right? It's about doing the right thing when the right thing ain't always easy. But anyway, man, I hope you enjoy it. So, today we're going to do an interview with Donnie. Donnie was a guy from my neighborhood that I kind of looked up to when I was a kid, man. He was kind of like the rock and roll dude, played the drums. I think you used to steal bikes back in the day, didn't you? Bicycles? You used to sell bikes?
No, I had my dad's car and I was an asphalt man. I did the pavement.
So anyway, Donnie, man, I tell people all the time that I want them to, change their lives, try to give people advice. You've known me for a long time. I'm a little rough around the edges sometimes, a little aggressive. That's just me. That's my nature. And today, I happen to be driving by. This is the second time I've seen you since I got out. And today I drive by and I see you're trying to get a jump for your truck. And you're stuck, right? You're kind of stranded, right?
I was stuck, yes.
You're stuck. And you said something to me, and it made me stop, and I was like, oh, that's Donnie. And I went in reverse, I stopped, and we talked, right?
Yes.
And we set up an interview for today. And, I can't tell people, man, hey, I want you to change your life, or you got to think positive. And my mission, man, is to save kids from life imprisonment and premature death in the streets, right? That's how I started this channel. That's what it was. In prison, I taught a lot of classes, leaders. I did a lot of things. And for many, many years, man, I had a lot of resentment against you, brother. I did.
So.
I had a lot of resentment. And you know what, man? I felt like today was like, when I seen you, at first I was angry and I said, man, how can I tell other people to change their lives if I'm not changing mine? And eventually we set up this interview, right?
I was scared when I seen you. That was my reaction.
Well,
I understood.
And what did I tell you?
Donnie, relax. I'm not going to do anything.
And you know why, man? I am a changed man. I don't want to hurt you. That's not my life. I can't tell people to do certain things and then I'm out here I'm not living what I'm telling other people that they should live. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
And I've been out on the streets, man, trying to help people that are addicted. I kind of feel like I owe some, man. Some of what I took. I took a lot from our neighborhood. You know what I mean? And not to drum me up or make me big, but once upon a time, I probably was the biggest drug dealer on Lyle Avenue.
I can tell it if you want to hear it be told.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, so Donnie, I want the people to know, because I've told your story, I think, on my YouTube channel. I might have talked, I don't know if I think I had it in the original version of the book and took it out. But one day I had seen Donnie, right? You waved me down. You remember? You were down by
Monroe Avenue.
Well, before Monroe Avenue. You were walking in the rain. You were down by Nick Tahoe's. You waved me down. You're like, hey, Chad, give me a ride. And you explained to me that you had, you're drug addicted. You had just stole some shit from your mom's house. They didn't want you in the house.
That's definitely something I would have done, yes.
And you're like, man, I'm going to rehab tomorrow. My parents are going to take me. I need some help. So I said, all right, man, get in the car. I'm going to give you a ride. I give you a ride, but you say, Chad, I'm hungry, man. Buy me something to eat, right?
Yes.
And where do we end up at?
Mark's Texas Hots on Monroe Avenue.
And we're sitting there, and I remember that was when I started thinking, I'm getting my life together. I'm going to get out of the drug game. I'm looking at you. And I asked you how old you were, right? You remember this?
I remember very well.
And I want to say you were, what, 33 at the time? 31? No. How old were you? 20 years ago. How old are you now?
I'm 49 now. So
49?
I would have been 39, but I believe I was younger. I believe it was.
I think so.
I think you're right around the 33-ish time period.
Around 33, and I said something to you, man, about the cars.
Yes, and I remember that very well. And I reminded you, well, I mentioned it today. You told me, Donnie, you see them cars going by? And I said, yeah. And you said, that's your life going by because of the drugs. You know, you're pissing your life away. You're not doing anything. It's you got to own it. You know, you can't put it off on situations. That stuck in my head, though I at times obviously don't, reflect on what I know. Yes, that was a very powerful statement you said to me.
And
a very true statement too.
And we ate. I took you to your hotel. The next day you go to rehab.
Mm-hmm.
You're in rehab for a couple weeks and you decide, I don't want to be here anymore, right?
And in Norris. And I went to stay with the people on, I think it was Lisbon Street.
And you call me. You say, hey man, I need a job. I give you a job at my roofing company back then, right?
First job was Ames Street. We did a roof on Ames.
Oh, you remember it? It was on
I
Ames.
Do.
It was a steep, yeah. That was a big roof. But then eventually you tell me, man, I really don't want to stay with these people, man. I need help. Right. And I actually let you're doing the right thing.
Personal house. You brought me, yes.
Which people would be like, wow. And people are probably going to watch this video and be like, man, this dude's interviewing this dude. But you know what? I brought you into my house and tell the people what happened.
Chad put his big hand out to me, and he, just like he said, he brought me to his personal home, allowed me to live there rent free. Not only that, I worked for his company. Not only that, Chad had a black Eclipse that he allowed me to drive. I took that, and the guy I was at that time, I used that for the wrong things. I became larger than life in my own head and forgot about my weaknesses and paying attention to the things I should have. And in a very short period of time, I started using again. And not only did I start using again, I turned my back and ignored what Chad had done for me, and I stole from Chad. The man who's helping me. This is real shit, man. And, excuse me for swearing. Not only did I steal from him, after, I finally had the courage to call him and things of that nature and try to save myself, because Chad was a different kind of guy at that time, someone that most people would have been scared, as I was, for crossing him. I had to go, and not only that, I went behind Chad's back and I deceived him. How far do you want me to go with this?
Well, I want people to know you stole, I think, 62 grams. It was a 62 back
then. It was a lot. Chad, listen, I about called 911 on myself. I was so fucking high and nervous. It was, oh my God, I can't, I would never want to relive that. Here, the bottom line is I stole from this man who was helping me, and I went to the police to save my ass rather than face him and pay him back. And he was giving me that chance, and there's no excuse for that. My whole life, I've had guilt behind that, but nothing changes what I did. And today, that's why the second time I see him since he's been released, I was really scared. We're in my driveway right now, in my house. There is no question in my mind, this is a different man I'm looking at. And, the guilt and stuff I feel for what I did to him, it's real, and it's just, and I really don't know what the moral to this is, but I'll tell you this is obviously a different man, because in my mind, when he seen me, I was going to be 6 feet under. So,
let's talk a little bit about that. What was it like for you? Because I remember, you testified at the trial.
I did. I wore wires. I did the whole thing. I will own it.
I want to ask you this, though, but before you wore the wire and you go to the cops and you say, hey, I can get Chad, but I need money to pay him back, right? I want people to know how the system
Yes.
works. And the police gave you money.
No, they didn't start like that.
They didn't. How did you pay me back that night?
Eventually, I got to that.
Okay.
You want to go for the beginning or for the first time I seen you?
When you called me at the mall, when you had the wire on.
What ended up happening was this. Once they got me signed in as a confidential informant, a case agent, whatever, all that, the first thing was they had me come. They met me. They picked me up, brought me to the police building. They put the recorder in my coat. They gave me money. I don't remember what it was, a couple $100 or something. Yeah. They brought me to the mall, where we met. And this is a bad time.
Are you Craig?
No. Bad time.
Either one of you? Okay.
So bring me to the mall, and Chad's gonna meet me there. I'm nervous as hell on the inside. I thought there was only 2 or 3 of the police there. There was like 10 or 15 watching. This would have been the first time I seen Chad since I stole a very substantial amount of money or whatever from him. They watched while I had the conversation, and I was basically he said to me, "You did really good after." This would be the Sergeant Brzezinski.
Yeah.
After that night,
I don't really want you to say their names.
enough said. I apologize.
That's fine.
After that, then it was they would tell me when to contact them. In my mind, I got somewhat pulled into the excitement of it, like it was like some movie crap. And
did you think you were Donnie Brasco or some shit?
I did. I in my mind I became larger than life, and it just yes, the
Let me
person
ask you
I
this.
was, yes, that's what it did to me, 100%.
So when you talk to them, right,
Mhm.
and they give you the wire or whatever, are you nervous to come see me? Even though you know the cops
first
are there?
few times, yes, I was nervous every time. Actually, yes, I was nervous.
And did they pay you for meeting with me? I mean, did you get some kind of compensation?
Yes.
Was that kind of a motivating factor?
Not enough for me. The money wasn't, like I said, it was for me, it was the fear of you and the people that, were under you, your friends or whatever. I was there for that. The money, though, did feed my addiction. And the money and the excitement, it kind of pulled me in. And, not to say that, okay, yeah.
So I remember when I was younger, you were an Italian dude and you would talk about certain things and act like, hey, them guys are pieces of, whatever. Guys that did stuff like that. That was
I am them. I am one. I'm a snitch. I can't even take it to deny it. I got to own it, man. I'm a snitch. I snitched on this man and he was helping me. Not only that, I stole from him before that.
In this prison genre, this prison culture, people are like, people always comment, hey, I hate you, I don't like. And you know what, man? I changed my life, bro. And I don't live that life where I want to talk bad about people and ridicule people. And, I still had anger for you, man. And today it just felt different. Like when I talked, we sat and talked for over an hour probably. And I'm like, man, you know what, man? I have to give that up because that was affecting my life. And I think it also affects your life a little bit, right?
I live in fear of the things I've done because the person I was a shitty person. I can't claim I'm a different person today. My beliefs are different. I once lived to try to be cool or impress or be something I'm not. I'm anything but cool. And, what that made me for talking down about others, I did that because I was inferior or incompetent myself or had no, to try to bring myself up because I was nothing, trying to talk other people down. And today I see them sides of it. It's no excuse. It don't erase what I did. I'm going to face consequences as I have, and I'm sure there's more to come. But I do see the side that's correct now in my end.
Well, I don't really want you to face consequences for anything that you did in my situation.
It's not your choice, man. It's the bad abouts choice.
Well, I mean, okay, if that's what you're talking about, that's
yeah,
fine.
That's
but,
what I mean.
And you've suffered, right?
Due to my weak mind I have, yeah. Due to my poor decisions I have.
I mean, you were cool, man. I was friends with your dad, man. Your dad, we were close with you guys.
Yes.
We all lived in the same neighborhood, and your father passed away. And
you never crossed me. You were always a friend to me. You never did me wrong. You provoked me. No way. I stole from you, and my fear is what caused me to go behind your back.
And that, you know what? Back then, that stuff was understandable. You know what I mean? It was understandable, Donnie. So, now when you have to come to testify at the trial, I remember you told the judge, or when you testified that you were scared, you were nervous, that you had relapse because of your fear. All that's in the transcripts, right?
Mm-hmm.
What were you going through when they came to get you and said, hey, Chad's going to trial?
I was living in Erie, Pennsylvania. I was finally sober. I was working. I was doing good. I had friends that were sober. Starbucks was the place I went on Friday night. And I was happy. And when this came, it was like a black cloud from my past that came. What was I going through? I was so disgusted and down and embarrassed that that people found out in Pennsylvania about my past, and I know what I had done by deceit. I deceived you. It changed everything. It changed anything, any confidence, any good feelings I had about myself went away. And the relapse was here, actually. When I got here, after talking to them in the federal building, they put me up in the hotel next to the federal building. That's when that had been the first time I had used since I left Rochester, which was about a year.
So they put you up at the federal building. I mean, next
The
door to the
hotel,
federal building.
4
Are they
points.
watching you, or is there someone there like, Donnie, don't go out tonight, don't
nothing
screw
at all.
around?
No, they brought me back here after talking about the whole thing all day.
Yeah.
Out the door I went.
Did you feel nervous to go to court the next day?
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, I was apprehended and brought there. I didn't go willingly. Not that makes it any better, but yeah, I was very nervous.
Did you? What was your thoughts when you finally found out? Damn, they gave Chad 40 years. Were you shocked?
Shocked? I felt like the biggest piece of shit in the world, man. I never knew it was going to get to that caliber. And I knew that I had played a big part in that happening to you.
I mean, we're not going to...
And that's the truth, man.
Listen, man, I always tell people, I deserve to go to prison, right?
I'm not blowing sunshine up your ass. When that happened, dude, I felt like the biggest piece of shit. I never knew it was going to that point.
Well, we were friends, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We were friends at one time. We were buddies, man. Even though you were addicted and you were in addiction, I always liked you, man. That's why
I was surprised you looked out for me the way you did.
And I wanted to see you get your life together. And I felt like, your dad had died. You went to rehab. You were getting your life together. You asked me for a job. I gave you a job. And I'm like, man, Donnie's doing the right thing. You met that girl, Lisa.
Maria.
No, Lisa Gambino, wasn't it?
Lisa was the ex. Maria was the girl I brought to the house. Maria and
Okay.
I went on to go up and down for 6 years. And boy, let me tell you, that was anyhow.
Do you feel like you lived with this your whole life until you finally ran? Did you feel like you ever needed closure with me?
Yes. Yes. I feel like, you got 44 years. You're not a drug addict. And this is kind of not so much to do with you, but I got a lifelong sentence of the drug addiction and the memories of what I've done. And the thing with you, just when I think about it, I do shitty things, but I know what's right and wrong. I feel a guilt inside, and I'm scared. Chad, yes, it's been in my mind my whole life, and it's something that's known, and anyone who knows me knows about it. I've tried to come up with stories to make it sound not so bad, but the bottom line is I went behind your back, I deceived you, and I snitched to you, and I caused you to lose half your life, man, and that's a lot to swallow. And here you sit next to me rather than beating the living shit out of me like any other normal person would expect. And that's mighty big of you, man. Well, obviously you are 100% a different person. Not that I'm any good source of opinion, but you're obviously, for you to be here and not.
Well, let me say this, right? Because I want you to know this too. I know you feel bad, but, I went to prison because I was a drug dealer, man. I went to prison because I thought I was a tough guy. I went to prison because I carried guns in the street. I did all those things. And, for many years I said, I'm here because Donnie put me in jail. Or I blame the judge and I blame the pride. It was everybody else's fault but my own. You ever hear that saying about, when you point your finger at someone, the rest of your fingers are pointing back at you? I created my own problem, right? Because I was a drug dealer. You went to the police. You gave them what they wanted, what they needed. You were the in for them. Yes. But really, at the end of the day, I caused my own problem, right? Should you have done that to me? Probably not. I took you off the street when you were hungry. You know what I mean? And I want you to know today, man, that I forgive you, bro. I really do, man.
Thank you.
Because if I can't forgive you, man, then I can't get past, what I need to get past in my life, because I've always harbored this anger and this hatred. And I had ran into you when I first got out. I was only out of, 5-6 months when I ran into you?
I don't know, man, but yeah.
And you had said something to me at the gas station. You said, oh, is that Chad Marks? And I said, is that Donnie?
I just wanted to get out of there.
Yeah.
But
I did get out of the car, and we did talk. And you told me, hey, I don't want you to hurt me. And I said, man, I'm not going to hurt you, man. Mm-hmm. I just want you. And I said some fucked up stuff back then, right? I said, man, I want you to know I think you're a piece of shit. And I got in my car, and I drove away.
You said the truth to me is what you said. That's the bottom line. But you didn't do on it, and you haven't done anything. And
And how old are you now, you said, Donnie?
I'm 49.
49. You weigh what?
120 pounds this time period.
120 pounds. And you're still caught up in addiction?
I relapsed a couple years ago, and I could tell a story. Yes, my life's been up and down my whole life.
Heart attack?
Yep.
How many heart attacks have you had?
Had a heart attack. One heart attack, I got a stent. I unfortunately got caught up in the opiate thing. I've overdosed twice. I've been the maker of my own misery by my poor decision making and my weak mind. And I'm hoping that due to some recent changes, I'm gonna find the man in me and do the right thing. And I'm the only one that can make that happen or not make it happen. So I'm hoping for the best. And this, like I said, is a big deal in my life, as it should have been. I mean, I took a man's life away. I hope, I believe you when you say forgive me. You're in my house. I mean, and I asked you to come here. We're nothing cool to me today. After that, that's pretty fucking big. I don't know if I can even be that way, Chad. So, hopefully, I'm gonna get something from this that I'm gonna take away, and I'm gonna be able to use for myself to say, Don, you're really not the scumbag you believe it you are, and look at him. And if he could let shit go and let you, you know what I mean? I don't mean, go ahead.
You're all right. Well, let me ask you this, right? I know you're still caught up in addiction a little bit, right?
Yes, I'm very caught up in it.
And you were the kind of guy where, let's keep it real, man. I mean, you've pimped prostitutes, you've stolen.
I've done it all, Chad.
You've done it all. And you've been out here in the streets of Rochester, New York, right?
Yes, sir.
Some of the most, I seen you today in one of the most dangerous neighborhoods around, right?
I know, I don't see it that way anymore, but yes, it is, and it's gotten very violent. But yeah.
Well,
yes.
right where you were at today, when your truck broke down, a woman was killed over there about a month ago. Did you know that? A prostitute?
A woman named Mary, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard about this.
Almost exactly where you were at today.
Really?
Right there.
I didn't know where it was. But
right there in that
I've heard
alley,
about
right
the
across the
woman
street from where your truck was.
And she had stuff shoved.
Yeah, man, we can't put that on the camera, and I actually interviewed her son. And, they arrested the dude and all of that. But you've been in some of the most dangerous neighborhoods in this city. Are you afraid that you're ever going to get killed out there? Do you even care?
When I'm using, I don't even cross my mind. When I actually started to sober up a little and think about it, and I think about, man, how grateful I am nothing happened. The fear, though, it comes after, or when I'm sober, not when I'm under the influence. Am I scared? No. I'm more scared of you than I am the streets. No. I hate to say that. Not now, but I mean, I would have told you I'm more worried about Chad Marks finding me than I am going to cop on Lyle Avenue or whatever.
Well, I understand back then we were some, me, Wody, we were some wild dudes, we did some things.
You were the real deal, Chad. There's no question.
We're not going to glamorize.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, it's fact. It's not glamour. It's a fact.
Well, back then, man, we were just different people. We were violent. And when, before you went to the police, there was an incident. If you remember correctly, your girlfriend was out there. That was Maria.
Yes.
And we caught her.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
And we didn't really do anything to her, but I was like, where are you at? And you were in a car. And I think that's what stemmed from your real fear, was right there. That was that day. You had the black kid with you, right?
A little, yeah.
And I ended up, I knocked him out in Lyle Avenue. You remember?
Yeah,
I hit him, boop, boop, boop,
I remember.
Knocked him out. And then you came flying by in the car. You almost ran me over.
I wasn't going to stop it. I was too scared. Yeah. I mean, I was too much of a pussy to get out and face my problem. I let the people with me face my problem.
And I had pulled the gun out on you while you were trying to drive away. I remember it like it was yesterday. Yep. And, I understand at that point that was your fear. And then you contacted me. And your mom contacted me and said, Donnie wants to pay you back. And I was like, man, I liked you. I always thought, man, I looked up to you sometimes when we were little kids, man. I thought you were like the cool dude, man, playing the drums and, the rock and roll dude and all of that. And
it was all a facade. It was an act,
But, and I wanted to extend my hand. And that night that you wore the wire on me, that was for us to meet and you to pay me back a couple measly $100 for a 62 that back then probably cost $2,000.
For $2,000?
Yeah, it was about $2,000 back then, right? Really?
I don't know.
$2,000 for the 40 years of my life meant nothing. You know what I mean? But I didn't see it back then like that. I was a young man and I made irrational, irresponsible choices. And I was, I thought I was a tough guy. I thought I was that dude. I wanted to be a street guy. Never really looking into the future and knowing, hey, I'm out here selling drugs. I could end up with 40 years in prison. And at the end of the day, that's what happened. I ended up with 40 years. And I blamed you for many years. But at the end of the day, when I got a little bit smarter, I started pointing at myself and saying, I made those decisions to be a drug dealer. You were just
aspect of it, man. And it did hurt my feelings, man. And you said some things on that wire. I don't know if you remember when you called me and I wasn't showing up on time.
I wanted to crawl under the fucking desk when I heard that wire, man.
Yeah. And then you were actually in the bathroom and you were like, you went to the bathroom in the beginning.
And I was talking.
You were talking to it. And then I wasn't coming. And then you were like, here comes that scumbag right now.
I was
Here
talking
comes the
shit,
scumbag.
yeah,
He's
exactly.
the scumbag's pulling up. You were like telling the cops that I'm coming.
Mm-hmm.
And you were calling me a scumbag.
Right.
And when I heard that tape, I had thought back and my lawyer had came and brought the tape and I'm like, this dude was calling me a scumbag? Like I took you off the street. You robbed me.
You're right.
So, but you know what, man? At the end of the day, Donnie, this is what it's about, man. It's about healing, bro. It's about, hey, man, telling you that, you know what? I forgive you, man. And not only do I forgive you, but, man, I apologize to you for making you, for making you scared or for the fear that you felt, where you were so scared that you felt you had to go to the police, that there was no way out of this shit but that. And you know what? I apologize to you for that, man. That's what a man does, man.
Thank you, man.
I'm a father now. I'm a husband now. I'm not a drug dealer. And you know, my judge called me a street punk at part of the court. But you know what? He was right, man. I was a street punk. But I'm not a street punk no more. You know what I mean? I'm not. I'm not that dude no more. And you know, sometimes I do ride through the neighborhood. And I don't know why, man. But sometimes I feel like I have to go through there to remind myself of where I was and who I was so that I can appreciate who I am today, man. And for real, man, I know you're here with your mom, but I know you're caught up in addiction. I talked to your mother today. Your mother wants you to get help. You know, it looks like you haven't eaten, bro. You look bad. Do you want to change your life? You've been to rehab 1,000
Do
times.
I want to change my life? Chad, of course I want to change my life.
Some people tell me no when I interview them on the street.
I do want to change.
Do you know
my life,
Cupcake
Chad.
on Lyle Avenue?
I know the little
You know what
red-haired
she told
girl,
me?
she's been here.
You know what she told me? She said, I like this life. I don't want to leave. I like it. So you have to want it, bro. But you're at the age now where you had a heart attack. Your mother's struggling. You know, your father passed away and it destroyed you. You used to live with your dad.
I went to prison 2 weeks later. Well, I went to jail and 4 in prison.
Yeah. So now your mom's sick too, right?
She's not sick.
She's
She's
okay?
up there in age, and you know we're at that point in my life where it's an inevitable thing. It's gonna happen.
And then if something happens to your mom, and God forbid it is a part of life, when something happens to your mom, you're not going to have a place to go to anymore.
Well, that remains to be seen, Chad. I do have the opportunity to step to the plate here, and if I can find it in myself and do what I need to do, put the fucking dope down and be a man and get real with myself, I will. If not, I'll be a fucking junkie in a homeless shelter talking to walls. If I make it to that point.
Well, I hope that doesn't happen, bro. And I mean that sincerely.
I appreciate that, man, and I'm gonna do my best to make it not happen. But I'm the only one that could make.
And if there's anything I can do, man, if you need a ride to the rehab center, if you need someone to talk to, you got my number, man. You can call me, man. Chad, I really want to get my life together. Can you help me today?
Thank you.
And I'm keeping it real with you, bro. We'll put it on camera so people know that it's real.
on camera, right?
No, I'm talking about if you want to go to rehab, you want to change your life. Because this isn't just an interview, man. This is bigger than that. You know what I mean?
For that, yeah, no.
I think it's a healing process for me and for you.
I'm not going to take it for granted. Let's put it that way. But for me, I'm not trying to make this about me. But for me, this was kind of this is one less thing I can keep thinking that beats myself up on the inside. And I might can somewhat say, if he can forgive me, I can forgive myself, man. And let me stop being a fucking dumb fuck out of my language and go do what the fuck I got to do.
Well, I hope this helps lift the weight off your chest, man. And I appreciate you doing the interview, man.
Thank you,
all
Chad.
right?
Thank you. And I'm sorry, man. I really am. I'm not gonna take away from losing your life. Thank you.
Well, I apologize too, man. It's all good, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it.